At 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, every traffic light in a major European capital turns green simultaneously. Within minutes, the city's hospitals lose power. Banking systems freeze mid-transaction, and somewhere in a government facility, a technician watches in horror as nuclear plant cooling systems begin receiving commands from nowhere. This isn't a Hollywood thriller. This is the nightmare scenario that keeps military strategists awake at night. And according to classified NATO briefings leaked in late 2024, we're closer to this reality than most people realize. The weapon? Not bombs, not missiles. Lines of code that can cross borders at the speed of light. Let me take you back to December 23rd, 2015. Ukraine. Families are preparing for Christmas when suddenly 230,000 people are plunged into darkness. Not because of a storm, because somewhere someone clicked a mouse. Hackers had infiltrated the power grid 6 months earlier, patiently waiting, watching, learning. They knew which circuits controlled which substations. They understood the system better than some of the operators themselves. When they struck, they didn't just turn off the lights. They locked out the Ukrainian engineers from their own systems, deleted critical files, and even flooded the emergency call centers with automated calls so panicked citizens couldn't get through. It took 6 hours to restore power, 6 hours of chaos, and that was just a demonstration. Fast forward to 2017. NotPetya, a cyber weapon originally aimed at Ukraine, escapes into the wild. Within hours, it's everywhere. The Danish shipping giant Maersk, which handles 1 in every 7 containers shipped globally, is completely paralyzed. Their computers wiped clean. FedEx loses $400 million. The pharmaceutical company Merck loses $670 million. Total global damages, over $10 billion. And here's the terrifying part. This wasn't even a full-scale attack. This was collateral damage. Now imagine if someone actually wanted to destroy a country. The infrastructure we depend on every single day, the systems we trust without thinking, they're all connected now. Your power grid talks to the internet. Your water treatment plants run on computer systems. Your hospital's life support machines receive updates over networks. Even your car, sitting in your driveway right now, is basically a computer on wheels with dozens of entry points for anyone who knows where to look. Military planners have a term for this, the digital attack surface, and it's growing exponentially every year. Here's what the first hour of a coordinated cyber warfare attack might look like. 0 hour. Financial systems go down. Not just one bank, all of them. ATMs stop working. Credit cards are declined. Electronic payment systems freeze. Within minutes, panic buying begins. Except people can't actually buy anything because the payment infrastructure is gone. Gas stations can't process transactions. Grocery stores can't take cards. The economy essentially stops breathing. Hour 2. Emergency services are overwhelmed. The 911 system receives millions of false calls generated by botnets. Real emergencies can't get through. Ambulances are dispatched to fake addresses. Police receive contradictory orders. GPS systems feeding incorrect coordinates. Chaos multiplying chaos. Hour 4. The power grid starts to fail. Not all at once, that would be too obvious. Strategic blackouts in specific regions. Hospitals switch to backup generators, but how long do those last? 12 hours? 24? And what happens when fuel trucks can't navigate because traffic systems are haywire and payment systems are down? If you're finding this scenario disturbing, hit that like button and subscribe, because what comes next is even more chilling. Hour 8. Water treatment facilities begin malfunctioning. Chemical dosing systems receive corrupted commands. Too much chlorine or not enough. In some cities, water pressure drops as pumping stations fail. In others, contaminated water enters the supply. How do you warn millions of people when communication networks are compromised? Hour 12. The psychological warfare phase begins. Every phone that still works receives emergency alerts, contradictory messages. Some say evacuate, others say shelter in place. Fake videos of government officials circulate on social media, declaring martial law or surrendering or accusing other nations. Deepfake technology has become so sophisticated that even experts can't immediately tell what's real. Trust evaporates, and in a crisis, trust is everything. By hour 24, you don't need missiles to bring a nation to its knees. The society does it to itself. Supply chains have collapsed. Civil unrest is spreading. The government struggles to communicate with its own population. And the attackers? They're invisible. No troops to bomb. No territory to invade. Just phantom warriors behind keyboards in buildings that might not even be in an enemy country. They could be operating from anywhere, routing their attacks through servers in a dozen nations, leaving investigators chasing digital ghosts. Now here's where it gets truly disturbing. According to a 2024 report by the European Council on Foreign Relations, at least 17 nations now possess sophisticated offensive cyber capabilities. Russia demonstrated theirs in Ukraine. The United States and Israel showcased theirs with Stuxnet, the virus that physically destroyed Iranian nuclear centrifuges by making them spin themselves apart. China has been accused of exfiltrating terabytes of sensitive data from government and corporate networks. North Korea allegedly stole hundreds of millions of dollars through cryptocurrency heists to fund its weapons programs. But the scariest actors aren't nations. They're the groups we haven't identified yet. The zero-day exploit brokers who discover vulnerabilities in critical systems and sell them to the highest bidder. The ransomware cartels that have already held hospitals and cities hostage. The ideologically motivated hacktivists who might decide they want to make a statement. Estonia learned this lesson in 2007. The small Baltic nation, one of the most digitally connected countries on Earth, nearly ground to a halt when a massive distributed denial-of-service attack hit their networks. Banks offline for days, government websites unreachable, news organizations silenced. The attack was allegedly triggered by a political dispute over moving a Soviet-era war memorial. The response? Weeks of digital bombardment that overwhelmed Estonia's infrastructure. They survived, barely, and the experience taught NATO a crucial lesson. Cyber attacks are not just criminal acts. They can be acts of war. That's why NATO now officially recognizes that a cyber attack can trigger Article 5, the Collective Defense Clause. Attack one member in cyberspace. You've attacked them all. But here's the problem with that doctrine: attribution. When a bomb falls, you can trace it back to the bomber. When malware spreads, the digital fingerprints can be disguised, misdirected, intentionally designed to frame someone else. How do you declare war when you're not entirely sure who attacked you? In 2026, as we move deeper into an era of artificial intelligence and quantum computing, the threat multiplies. AI can discover vulnerabilities faster than humans can patch them. It can coordinate attacks across thousands of targets simultaneously, adapting in real time to defenses. Quantum computers, once they mature, could potentially break the encryption that protects everything from military communications to your online banking. Some experts call this the cyber arms race. Others call it the brewing storm. Either way, most people are completely unaware that it's happening. Right now, nation-states are stockpiling zero-day exploits like nuclear weapons. They're embedding backdoors in systems, not to use today, but to have ready when they need them. Intelligence agencies refer to these as implants, sleeping code waiting to be activated. Your power company might already be compromised. Your water treatment facility might have a hidden vulnerability, and nobody would know until someone decides to flip the switch. The defense industry has a new term: cyber resilience. It's not about preventing all attacks, because that's impossible. It's about being able to absorb a hit and keep functioning. About having manual backups for critical systems. About training operators to work without computers if necessary. About segmenting networks so that if one section is compromised, it doesn't take down everything else. Some countries are taking this seriously. Singapore has built an entirely separate government network disconnected from the internet. Israel has mandatory military cyber units and invests heavily in defensive technologies. The United States Cyber Command employs thousands of specialists and maintains offensive capabilities designed to deter attacks through the threat of retaliation. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most countries aren't prepared. Most companies aren't prepared. Most cities aren't prepared. The average infrastructure system is held together with decades-old technology, patches upon patches, legacy code that nobody fully understands anymore, all connected to the internet because efficiency demanded it. We've built a glass civilization, incredible, beautiful, functional, and incredibly fragile. The 2026 scenario isn't guaranteed to happen, but every year, the probability increases. Every new device added to the Internet of Things is a potential entry point. Every line of code written might contain a vulnerability. Every system connected is a system that can be compromised. So what happens next? That depends on whether we wake up to the reality before reality forces us awake, on whether governments invest in cyber defense as seriously as they invest in traditional military capabilities, on whether we're willing to sacrifice some convenience for security, on whether we can develop international norms and treaties for cyberspace, even though verification is nearly impossible. The clock is ticking, not toward an if, but toward a when. Somewhere right now, someone is probing a system, looking for a weakness, writing code, planning, waiting. 24 hours. That's all it might take to watch a modern nation crumble. Not from bombs falling from the sky, but from invisible commands flowing through fiber optic cables. The question isn't whether cyber warfare will reshape the future. It already is. The question is whether we'll see it coming.